Hi again, everyone, and welcome to the Why Did Winter Have to Interrupt Football Season edition of the Game Ball and Top Performers announcement. I'm Jody Norstead for Midco Sports Network. Yes, the schedules were put into a tizzy with the snowstorm that blanketed the state late last week. Maybe the athletic directors and coaches deserve this MidcoSN Game Ball, sponsored by our friends at Farmers Union Insurance. We had games moved up to Thursday, some stayed on Friday, and many more delayed to Monday and even Tuesday. So we had football being played 4 of the last 6 days in North Dakota, and we have more of it again going on tonight, Wednesday. In fact, Bismarck Century rallied in the second half to beat Jamestown on Monday, and the top-ranked Patriots are playing tonight in Dickinson. That's 2 games in 3 days for a varsity football team. Not sure I've seen that one before. I should also mention we're down to 2 games left in the regular season for AAA and AA, while 9-man and Class A finish up on Saturday with the playoffs beginning the following week. So here we go, baby. Let's take a look at our top performers list, which will include some key playoff spot clinching performances. It's been a long year for the Dickinson program, but credit the Midgets for fighting hard on Friday night and picking up their first WDA win by defeating Williston 19-14. Troy Berg is the name on the list. The sophomore running back rushed for 2 touchdowns and also returned a kickoff for a score, accounting for all 3 Dickinson touchdowns. Bishop Ryan clinched the 2 seed in Region 3 on Friday by putting some punishment on Des Lacs Burlington. I give their entire ground game a top performance. Logan Merck rushed for 169 and scored 3 times. Jackson Feller rushed for 271 and 2 more scores, but give that O-line credit. Guys like Corbin Okeson, Casey Larson, Keegan Henjum, and Noah Sweegarden, to name a few. That Lions ground game will be tough in the playoffs. Davies rusher Jack Carlson went up against that tough West Fargo defense and was able to generate 99 yards on his 15 carries, scoring twice early in the 30-26 win. The victory helped the Eagles stay perfect in conference play. Carlson and Ethan Ensey have been a great 1-2 punch in that backfield for Davies. Both are closing in on 500 yards rushing for the season. All aboard the Valley City hype train. The Highliners won their 4th straight by edging 3rd-ranked Devils Lake 15-7 on Monday. Max Fear led the offensive attack by rumbling for 144 yards and a score. Those are Nate Rodriguez-type numbers. Remember him from a couple of years ago for Valley City? Max and the Highliners finish up against Central Cass and then a biggie at Hillsborough Central Valley for the regular season finale. Jeremiah Hill was an all-region selection last year as a sophomore for North Star. The junior running back ripped off an eye-popping 314 yards and 4 touchdowns in a win over Dunseith. Isaiah Hughes got loose a few times for Bismarck. The Demon sophomore cashed 29 carries in for 253 yards and a pair of scores in a 35-17 win over Minot to help the Demons clinch a playoff berth. Hughes has been a welcome addition for the Demons after he transferred from New Salem Glen Ullin following his freshman year. Of course, the Holsteins, a really great program the last few years. Hughes is a great wrestler, too. He finished 3rd as a Holstein a year ago in the 182-pound division. And how about Bismarck? After an 0-2 start, they're now 4-1 in WDA play. Hughes played a huge role in that. The Lumberjack does 2 things. He runs through defenses, and he ends up on our top performers list almost every single week. UND commit Jack Irie with 274 yards and a pair of rushing scores in Finley Sharon Hope Page's 26-24 win over Enderlin Maple Valley to move to 8-0. The Spartans are one of 3 unbeatens left in 9-man football. That's pretty good for a team that only won 3 games over the past 2 seasons combined. How about back-to-back players from undefeated 9-man teams? Why not? This guy got it done in a 1-versus-2 showdown, though. Cavalier quarterback Colton Rachinsky rushed for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Mud Bowl against number 1 ranked New Rockford Cheyenne on Tuesday night. Rachinsky scored on an 80-yard touchdown run and a 32-yard rushing score. Those were massive because yards and footing were tough to come by, and the Tornadoes ended up needing every point in the 22-20 overtime victory. You've heard this name before, and I'm guessing you'll be hearing it for many more weeks. Simon Romfo led top-ranked and undefeated Langdon-Edmore-Munich to a 40-8 victory over Carrington on Tuesday. Romfo is one of the rare players who got to play in good conditions. They got to use the turf at Cushman Field in Grand Forks, and he took full advantage, passing for 291 yards and a trio of touchdowns, and then rushing for nearly 100 more yards and a score. Romfo and the Cards wrap up the regular season against Grafton on Saturday. Jordan Sowers won a game ball earlier this year, and the Lisbon Junior just continues his demolition circuit. He hammered Hatton Northwood this past week, rushing for 252 and 5 touchdowns to go with a great game on defense where he made 7.5 tackles and an interception. Sowers and the Broncos have clinched the top seed for Region 1. Now to our game ball, and we might have to cut this thing into pieces this week because we've selected the Mandan Moving Company. The Braves offensive line paved the way for 363 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns in a very solid bounce-back win over Bismarck Legacy, 50-32. The names across the O-line are Caden Scott, Jackson Dutenheffer, Titus Bachmeyer, Danik Vega, Court Heinert, and tight end Kobe Poitra. They were in charge on Monday night, blocking for the likes of Austin Fry, 117 yards and 2 scores, and Dewar Kermey, 16 carries for a $151 for Shaq. They also didn't allow a sack in the game. Mandan's rushing attack has improved greatly from last year to this year. They're averaging 195 yards rushing per game, which is second best in the WDA, and 45 yards more than they averaged a season ago. Congrats to the Braves, who can secure a playoff spot with a win on Saturday against Williston. The MidcoSN Game Ball, sponsored by Farmers Union Insurance, is heading to the Mandan offensive line. That's a wrap for this week. A reminder that we have games being played on Wednesday and Saturday this week, but we will still have a 1-hour live edition of Varsity Sports Live on Friday night. We'll have highlights, reaction, game previews, and more coming your way from 10:30 to 11:30 on Midco Sports Network. We'll see you then.